guys, welcome back to Surreal Beauty. I'm Tiffany and I'm super excited because today I really want to talk about what kind of got me inspired and passionate about the mental health field. Why did I choose counseling, and why am I consciously putting myself through the rigorous task of getting a master's, getting licensed, and the process that it entails. Stay tuned. Hey y'all. Okay, so when it comes to mental health, counseling, therapy, and things of that sort, I know that people have many mixed emotions. Some people look at the mental health and even going to therapy is like a fluke, and some people feel differently. I can only speak on my experience and how it's kind of helped change and really renewed my life since I really got back on track with it. And so honestly, what led me into the field was in short terms, learning how to deal with brokenness, right? So healing was the main goal in mind. I was dealing with a lot of trauma when I started my master's program. So again, like I'm finishing up. I did initially start my program in 2017, and then halfway through 2018, I took a pause, finding myself, honestly. That's the best way to put it. Just looking and exploring myself. I guess I'll say that. We'll save these videos. I don't want to get too much on a tangent. But yes, I was still, like, right before I decided to go to graduate school, I was just leaving and finishing up at the University of Miami. I was still doing sports, track and field. I was a thrower there. And at one point, I thought to myself, even if I want to go far with this athletic career, I need to work on my mental healing, because I definitely knew something was off. There were a lot of moments when I'd be away at competitions and track meets where, like, I just would experience such intense mood swings. My moods would go up and then down. I would cry all of a sudden when I was triggered by certain stimulus events, things like that. And I didn't know why it was happening. And so I felt like I wasn't the driver's seat in my own life. And that was really what fueled me to go into counseling, honestly. And I'll kind of backpedal a little bit. Now, while we all come from families and things like that, I can honestly and unfortunately say that more now than ever, but at the time I was not close to my family. I don't have my father in my life. I didn't have that father figure in my life. And then my mom was there and she was not there, right? So I think my mom did the best she could to raise 6 kids, but realistically, as I look back, there was no way for her to, as a single mother, be able to work full time, provide for us full time, and then be emotionally available, like have the capacity to be emotionally available for 6 of her kids individually. And so I am the 5th of 6, and so, like, being like the younger one of the bunch, I definitely felt like I got looked over, and I never felt that I can go home to mom or dad. Like there wasn't that safe space where you can go and talk for advice, get confidence, self-esteem, all of those things, right? So I definitely want to share more as I go through my series of obtaining my master's, just like the importance of family, childhood, upbringings. All of these things play a fundamental role in who I am becoming today. And so at the start of this all, I would say that was the premise of why I decided to get into mental health, why I decided to go into counseling. First, it was, I want to help myself, I want to save myself. And then it became, I want to help save others, right? And I don't mean save others like put on my cape and I'm going to save you from your problems and save you for the day. No, what I mean by that is I started to find the light in me. And now I want to help other people find their light. And that's what I did. And so I would say going through that healing process, what they tell you in school in the beginning of the graduate program, at least what I was told, was if you are not willing to go into your closet and, get out the dirty laundry, how are you expecting anyone else to do so? How can you advocate for others to do the very thing that you yourself are unwilling to do? So you have to be willing to go there and become completely naked, right? Figuratively speaking, and unleash and unveil what's really in there. And it sounds scary. It sounds like maybe, oh, that's not a big deal, I could do that. Because that's what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. That's not a big deal. Oh yeah, that's easy, right? Because I'm an athlete, I'm tough. We just get it done. Yeah, no. There's different types of tough, right? So there's like physically strong tough, and then there's like emotionally strong tough. At that time, I had no emotional strength. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea. But I did know I needed help. I did know I needed fixing. And I'm like, I'm just going to get the education, right? So that was part of it, going to counseling. I started to go to therapy while I was in the program. I went every week, or it was like, it depended. Like I had moments, depending on the season that I was in, where I was going every week. There were moments where I was going 2 times a week, every week. And then it eventually graduated to bi-weekly, to where I was only seeing the therapist 2 times a month. But I definitely dealt with some serious depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, low confidence, lack of self-identity, lacked a lot of self-sufficiency, independent living skills, real poor self-control, poor self-awareness, poor emotion regulation, just meaning like trouble with handling my emotions. Whenever I had any type of intense emotions, I did not want to experience them. And so I would try to numb myself from the thoughts and the feelings of the pain of whatever it was that was really like, I guess, hindering me. So I would say, in a nutshell, those were some of my little issues. And the great thing about grad school, which I love then, and then I love it now even more that I'm older and more, have more life experience, is that you are able to reflect introspectively at such a high intense level. It's ridiculous. You make of it what you make of it, but anyone who's really willing to go through the process of healing, the process of doing that self-reflective work, it's definitely worth it. And it still takes a lot of writing, a lot of reading. I'll actually show y'all. I'm reading this book. It's called Stop Doing That Shit. Really good book. I have a lot of books that I'm starting to read more now, like TED Talks. I'm writing my own content as well. A lot of these things are healing, because now what happens is, and not everyone's a writer, right? Not everyone's going to find that writing is their thing. There are other methods, by the way. But for me, I found that doing that was so therapeutic. And it was such like I could just remember, even the other day when I journaled, writing and recording certain things and getting it out, just a sense of relief, like you're just letting it out. Because sometimes not all things are meant to be said to everyone. Some things you have to keep to yourself. Some things it's just between you and God. Some things it's just between you and the therapist or a professional, right? Some things are just for you and your loved one. These are intimate things that have affected me since I was a child, ongoing. And this is the work that I'm specifically focusing on, so that I can show up as my best self as I move forward in adulthood. And that's the importance of healing. This is why we need to do these things, so that we are not held bondage, or we're not held hostages to our own trauma. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, one of the biggest things that I learned is that a lot of us are operating from our unhealed, broken self, whether we are aware of it or not. And so a lot of us are carrying trauma in some way, shape, or form. A lot of childhood trauma. If you experience any type of abuse, physical, sexual, child abuse, substance abuse, there's so much. And while when we're young, the things that happen to us are unfortunate, and they were out of our control, we have to live and make a decision as we get older. Am I going to take the responsibility to undo what's been done to me, Or am I going to stay a victim and remain here and stay stagnant? And for a very long time, I stayed stagnant because holding on to my pain and having that victim mentality and mindset served me better at some point in time, at one point in time. I felt like someone having a pity for me, you know, or someone feeling sorry for me, you know, and that wasn't to take away from the situation I was in. It was just like, feel sorry for me, like loathing in that. Yeah, that's not cute. It's not sexy. None of the above, right? So I was making decisions, right, that went against my true core values. I was behaving in ways that just did not align with who I was truly called to be. And so everyone's walk looks different. And I know for mine, as I continue to share what it looks like and what it's been, the tribulations and the trials that come about once you say to the universe, or once you say to God, right, like, I am committing and I am surrendering to the process of healing. I no longer want to operate as my broken self. I want to operate as my healed self. It's easier said than done, but when you are truly committing to the process, the universe starts to make way, right? And God starts to send opportunities, messages, people, right? Anything to kind of keep you focused and on track with that. I have many examples, but I'll say, what was a pivotal moment where I realized, you know what, I really need to get right? I honestly think when I actually worked in the adult industry as a sex worker, and I know it's crazy and I'll talk about it, and also look at my prior videos because I talk about a lot of those things then, and I actually will continue to talk about some of those experiences and how they've shaped me, how they've helped me heal, and also how some of those experiences broke me as a woman, you know, and how I've had to kind of heal from those things as well. But it was one moment where I was literally in that space of finding myself and trying to really come to terms with like who do I want to be? I'm tired of listening to other people and they're saying that, you know, oh, you should do this or you're this, you know, everyone has an opinion, right? But I'm tired of trying to live up to other people's expectations because I'm not going to meet them. I fail miserably, right? What are my expectations? What are my thoughts? What are my views? I really started to become more centered and focused on self. We have to be selfish, right? Just a bit. And I started to think, what's going to make me happy? What skills do I have? What mark do I really want to put out into the world? And that's when I actually wrote my first book, The Birth of Treasure. I actually do have copies. If anyone would love a copy, message me below for sure. But I wrote my first book, and in that moment, I talked about how I went from a young, timid girl to this empowered woman through that transformative experience in the adult industry. And probably in a million years, I never thought that working in that field would have shaped me into the woman that I am today. And while it's not all of who I am, it's not like all of what I've done in the past, it's a piece of my story. One that I am not ashamed of. And one that I feel like I'm like talking into, but one that I'm not ashamed of. Most importantly, it's one that really helped me solidify and figure out this is the direction I want to go. And that moment in my life was the birthing of that enlightenment and that realization. So yes, guys, like I am definitely excited. And I'll go more into some other traumatic experiences that I've had to work through. There's so much more to cover, to share. You know, I'm so excited for any questions or comments, or maybe even situations you've experienced. But anyways, guys, until next time, I'll see y'all.